Hi everyone and welcome to Season 4, Episode 3 of From Hope to Glory at Truro City with me, the United City FM. Welcome along. So things are going fantastically well in the league. We're still in both our cup competitions as well, but league form has been pretty good through November and still leaves us sitting top of the table in the Vanarama National League, which is brilliant. We've just plain sailing. It's not a problem so far at all. Today we played Boston Utd in 10th. At some point there's going to be a blip. Is it going to be today? I hope not, but you never know. So here we are back at Truro City, and yes, we do sit top of the table. 9 games played, and Ep3 just behind us have already played their 10th and are 2 points behind. So we could open up a 5-point gap to them today. And it is going fantastically well. November we'll get to in a second, but what I want to tell you about is if we go and have a look at the squad page and move right the way down to our strike force, you can see that Charlie Ball played 1 game early in the season, hasn't been able to play since, but he's almost back to the point where he could do, having been out long term. But the 3 other strikers, Andrew Neil has got 6 goals in 9 games. McJanet has got 7 in 9. But the recent star of the show is Horsewood with 8 goals in 5 games. He came in recently just because a couple of knocks and a couple of issues meant that we had to play him. He's a little bit of the forgotten man, but so far he's been phenomenal for us and has put in a couple of really good performances in the last few games. There's a decent Vanarama National League striker in here, definitely. 14 finishing, determination is great, pace and acceleration are decent. It's all pretty good. But he'd just been pushed out down the pecking order by other players, potentially. The likes of Neil and Ball last season were just too good for him to get past. This season, though, he's been given a chance, and at the moment he's taken it. Now, the positive of that is that we played 2 up top, and if at any one point any one of these 4 is on form, we're going to continue to get the goals, which is a great place to be. So, yeah, just thought I'd point that out. But so far, if we go back to the homepage, you'll see that in the player stats for the Vanarama National League is Thomas Horsewood that sits top of the goal scoring charts and top of the average rating charts as well, and the best pass completion. He's having a great time, and I'm having a great time watching him. And he is going to be playing today against Boston Utd. So those that were with me last episode will remember the 1-1 draw. Disappointing, however, it was against Hartlepool in the league. It didn't seem to affect us too badly in terms of our placing in the league. We have played the FA Trophy match against Chorley, won that very, very comfortably. And there you can see where Horsewood started his magnificent run. And so he couldn't leave the team after that. We then went into a game against Leyton Orient, who were reasonably high up in the Vanarama National League and did very, very well against them 3-1. But then it came to a bit of a crashing halt against York City. I had to rotate the side a little bit just to keep people fit and healthy, and it just didn't quite work out on the day itself. It was a very drab game and we lost 1-0. But we restructured it again, put everybody back in their places that we would expect to be in the first 11 potentially at the moment. Against both Dover and Sutton, we won 3-1 and 3-0. And again, Ed McJanet in there with a couple of goals, and Thomas Horsewood again with a couple of goals against Dover and 1 more against Sutton United. And so, yeah, it's been fantastic to watch these strikers get to work. And of course, that means today we're going to have a drab 0-0 or something, doesn't it? But hopefully not. Hopefully you'll see how it's been working over the last few games. But today we've got Boston Utd. If we go and have a look at them, they're sitting 10th in the Vanarama National League. And they're sitting on 13 points after 9 games. 22 in 9 for us. 1 draw, 1 loss so far. We lost against York and we drew against Hartlepool. The rest of it, all very good wins and some big score lines in there. 3s and 4 goals. That's fantastic to watch. So we are going really, really well in the league. And as I say, we've got a 4-point gap back to Solihull Moors, who have already are on the same amount of games played than us. Ep3 today, if we win our game, we go 5 points clear of them as well. So it's all looking fantastic. So here's hoping that for today's match, against Boston United, we continue on the good form. So I don't feel the need at the moment to rush back Charlie Ball because it's going so well. I'm just going to take my time with him because he's got some fitness issues. We'll need to train him for a little while to get him back because he's been out for, about 6 weeks or something. And this early in the season meant he's missed most of it so far. So we're going to just take our time with him. So he's still out of action. Wright Phillips is still out. He's got a couple of days to go before he can get back into training. So it's probably going to be a couple more games before we put him back into the fray. His replacement this season, Knowles, is doing all right. Hasn't really done amazingly well, but the team around him have been fantastic. So it hasn't mattered too much. And so those two absentees are the only one today, really. And because Wright Phillips is out and he's one of our loanees, remember we've got one too many loanees in terms of how many we've got in the squad compared to how many we can have in a match day squad. So Williams has been missing out a little bit this season, being the sixth of the five, if that makes sense. But because Wright Phillips is currently out, we've been playing Williams because he is a decent option in that midfield role. He's got good passing and good vision. Physicals are decent as well. So he's come in for the last few games and hasn't done amazing, but he's done okay, and he's a very, very good option to have in and around the squad. And to be honest, I think long term, if I could find a way to keep him, I would play him above Mundell most of the time. But we just can't at the moment because of the restrictions on loan players. And it was my mistake to bring one too many in. But anyway, so for today's match against Boston United, which we are away from home at, which is, always a bit more tricky, we've got Roberts in goal, Rogers at right back, Dunlan at left back, Kazoo and Whitmore in central defence, Bucock Williams in central midfield, Knowles on the right, D'Souza on the left, and McJanet and Horsewood up top, with a bench of Stavrou, Casey, Silla, Salam and Neil. So let's get into today's game and see what happens. So, when given the opportunity to use this team talk, why wouldn't you? Go out there, carry straight on from where you finished the last match. We finished the last match in fantastic form. So, indeed, it is time just to go back out on the field and continue straight on. Different opponent, different tactical setup, but still, there's an issue straight away. With 4 minutes to go, Bucock has got an injury, a potential lower leg injury, and has had to come off. That could be quite serious. We'll have to wait for that. So we'll have to bring Silla in. He's okay. He works in that defensive midfield role anyway, the sort of more ball-winning midfield role. So we can bring him in with no problems. But that's a little bit disappointing just to start the game. So we'll confirm that and go back into the match. But yeah, as I was saying, we can just carry straight on. And if we can get the form going again, anything can happen today. A sweeping free kick from Dunlan into the box, but it is Boston that cleared it very, very well and had a load of players in a position to collect the ball as well. And then it's Silla who figures it out in that left fullback role, dropping in there to sort of maintain the shape that we needed, but gives the ball away to Boston again. Little bit scrappy in that particular part of play, and then Hutton gets so much space. Nobody closed him down at all. Had a bit of a welly at goal, and then it just goes sailing over the top of the crossbar. But that whole period of play was not quite good enough, was it, really? And a free kick for Boston on this near side into the box. We get it partially cleared, but Spence picks it up for Boston just outside the area, gets to settle the play down again for Boston United, gets the ball back again, working some lovely short passes in and around the top of our penalty box. They're going to open up a chance, and they did, and it was Spence, and from the edge of the box he absolutely blasts the ball, and they get a goal at 18 minutes. And so far, the first 18 minutes, we have not been good enough. I'm not gonna pause it there. Sorry, I'm gonna let the replay continue. Some really lovely first time passes that just had us chasing shadows on the top of our penalty box, and then Spence opens up and really puts the ball very nicely in the back of the net. But I'm going to pause the game, and for the next few minutes I am going to berate the players because it's not been a good start at all. That period of play before the goal, we weren't at the races either, and we're just letting Boston United have too much of it. 7 shots at goal for them, 5 for us, even in possession, but it doesn't feel like it at the moment, and the highlights have died, and we're drifting towards half time. 5 minutes left of the first half, and so far nothing has happened. And this is the problem with these episodes, isn't it? It feels like every time I come back and show you an episode, we play a bit meh, and the rest of the time it's been fantastic so far. Anyway, what can you do? Half-time, we reached the half-time and we're 1-0 down, so we get to thrash the arms about, tell them that we're far from pleased with it. There's no injury issues as far as I can see, so they're all capable of getting back out there, and as soon as we get out there, we're going to fire them up and just see whether we can get anything to get us going in this second half. We win the ball there from D'Souza from a Boston throw-in, so that's good. Knowles takes over in midfield, sends it out left to Dunlan, skips past the defender into the box, get a cross in. He doesn't. He tries to go for a shot at the near post from a really poor angle, and again, making the really wrong decisions, which is really, really poor from us today. 57 minutes gone. Corner kick from Dunlan into the box. Get it partially cleared. Can D'Souza get there? He can't. It's Riley for Boston United. And again, they get a chance to build up an attack. Spence, their danger man in midfield, takes over. And again, they're through the lines in midfield. It's because they've got the extra man in midfield, I think. They've gone over the top. Strike on goal. We are going to change it. We're not doing well enough. And what we're going to do is we're going to go back into the 4-2-3-1 that we've played for the last few seasons, because that will give us an extra player in midfield. The question is, which striker do we keep up front? Horsewood's the one on form, but I think McJanet might be the better striker. So we're going to put McJanet up top, and we're going to take Horsewood out, and we're going to put what we're going to do, we haven't got another central midfielder. Salam can go on, and we're going to move D'Souza into that attacking midfield central role. So that's what we're going to do. Just make sure they're all in the right places, which they are. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. And so we've gone back into our 4-2-3-1 counter-attacking system because it's got that extra man in midfield. So we'll just see how that works out for the next 10 minutes before we make any more personnel changes. It's kind of killed the game again. Not many highlights coming. And we're going to have to figure this one out. 70 minutes gone. We're going to pause the game again, go into the tactics. We're going to make a couple of personnel changes because they're all playing really badly. I mean, really badly. Humph, that's not good, is it? So what we're going to do, we're going to take McJanet out and we're going to put Andrew Neil up top. And we're going to take out... Oh, we can't take out Silla, really. We're going to have to take out Rogers at the back. We haven't got a right-sided fullback particularly. We can't make any more subs. What have I done? Oh, of course, I had the injury at the beginning of the match. I couldn't figure out what was going on there for a sec. Okay, everyone else is going to have to basically play through then. But what can we do here? I think we're going to have to change it up a little bit. So we're going to go attacking. And we're going to change the in-possession stuff to more direct, higher tempo, more disciplined, less dribbling. Shoot on sight. Those are the things we're going to change. We're going to go a bit wider in transition. See, this is my thought process here. We're going to counter press them. We're going to distribute to the target man, so go long from there. And in possession, we're going to push up the line of engagement a little bit. We're going to get stuck in. Those are the things that we're going to change just to see what we can get out these last sort of 20 minutes. But so far, it's been fairly dreadful, I must say. And it's so unlike what I've been watching recently. From this identical lineup, the lineup's been pretty set for the last 5 games. You've seen that Horsewood has been getting a bucket load of goals. And today, nothing has worked out at all. Knowles on the right-hand side, though, drifts in. And we do get an equaliser with still 20 minutes to go. Salam on the left-hand side cuts into the box. Just as on the far side, Knowles was running really really nicely down the right-hand wing. He had everybody in his wake, didn't he? Completely. Had a little bit of space. Gets the cross in, manages to curl it back away from the keeper onto the on-running Salam, and he puts it in the back of the net for 1-1. Do we confirm the changes? Does that change the complexion? What would you do? Yes or no? Yes or no? I'm going to go yes. Let's confirm the changes and go all out for this and just see what we can do in the last sort of 20 minutes of the match. Put the pressure on Boston, hopefully. Give us one chance. Come on. 83 minutes. No chances yet. Here's a throw-in. Dunlan down the left-hand side onto D'Souza. Gets the chance to drop it back for Dunlan. Where's he going to go? He's going to cut in slightly. Moves it onto Salam. And then Salam with a weak shot. But fortunately, Boston go long and we win it really quickly. Back in our defensive area. We go back to the goalkeeper. Long into the striker. It didn't work at all, did it? But Silla wins the ball fantastically well in midfield. Really good option as the ball-winning midfielder is Silla. That's great. Dunlan takes over down the left-hand side. Again, charges forward, which is fantastic to see. Gets to the byline, crosses it back to Williams. And there is a fantastic strike on 84 minutes from Williams. Right along the floor. Powerful shot. Goalkeeper taken out by surprise from that for a crowded group of players in the penalty box. Doesn't see it until it's too late, and with 5 minutes or so to go, we've managed to turn the game around and go 2-1 up. Can we maintain the discipline of the performance? I'm still going to keep pushing at them. I think it's our best route to getting something from the game, to be honest. Kazoo with the ball over the top for Neil, gets straight in on goal, and the goalkeeper comes out and blocks the shot really well. Dunlan saved the throw-in, I think, down this left-hand side, but the highlight goes. Can we get to full time? We're at 2 minutes left and there's nothing happening. Final whistle. We turned it round. We figured out that they had more in midfield than we did. We changed the formation. We changed the player style. We changed the personnel. And in the last 25 minutes of the game, we turned the result on its head. And that is more like what I've been seeing recently from this group of players. Salam and Williams rescuing the points for us. And eventually, we do take all three of them. So we are going to look through the analysis page, but I think the key to it all was figuring out that central midfield, we needed that extra man in there. And when we got it, they didn't have an answer for us. Let's have a look at the match stats for the day. A lot of attempts at goal, which is really great in terms of viewing pleasure. Boston had 12 and 4 on target. We had 15 and 8 on target. A 1.71 XG rating, 1.10. So they were pretty much on what they should have been doing for their XG ratings. 50-50 possession, pretty much. Our passing completion was good though, 83%. That's where I like to see it. It drops a little bit sometimes, but on today's performance, that was decent. Let's go and have a look in a little bit more detail. Loads of shots, and they're all pretty well sort of situated in that penalty box. We had some very good chances. Didn't quite take as many as we maybe should have, but we still finally figured it out and managed to get all of the points for today. You can see that the shape is decent. There's a bit of a gap there with our defensive midfielder dropping back a little bit. There's a little bit of a gap in here. Maybe we should switch these two round possibly and drop the slightly deeper forward into this spot. Something to think about. Would you do that, or would you leave it just as it is? Because why would we worry? Because we're winning games. But considering that if this is the defensive line that we were holding, I'm not sure you can see this down here, but this is where the defensive line for Boston United was. So they were much deeper than us. And so we were able to take advantage of that in the end and keep the pressure on them. Good amount of midfield action zone possession, which is great. Not so good in the attacking area, but that's okay. And Daniel Williams, the guy that came into midfield, unlocked the game for us in the end, which is fantastic. And if only he wasn't on loan, he would be playing a lot more regularly than he does. But there we go. That's just one of those things. My mistake led to that. So shots at goal. Let's have a look at our own shots rather than both. We scored 2 goals from just inside the penalty box. 2 really good strikes in the end. We had 8 off target, a couple from very long out, so we'll dismiss them. And then we had the one Dunland shot from too narrow an angle that went into the side netting. But a couple in the middle there, one from McJanet and one from Horsewood, that potentially should have got something from it. And then the goalkeeper saved 6 shots, so he did pretty well for them. And the last one is they had 2 block shots, one on the very edge of the box that didn't go anywhere, and one that was got into the penalty box, but a crowded penalty box, and didn't make it through to the goalkeeper. So let's go and have a look at our passing, just because that makes me chuckle. And then we go to the intercepted passes. And from this end of the pitch, you can see that these ones are clearing the lines. That's fine. There's a couple here, though, that potentially should have done. I mean, what was that pass there? Why was that one intercepted? Don't like that at all. And was it Horsewood from here dropping it back into midfield? And again, we lose ball. So occasionally we're letting ourselves down a little bit with that. No blocked passes, 51 unsuccessful ones. Again, we don't care about the defensive ones because they're clearing the lines. We don't really care about the throw-in ones. Once every so often, one of those comes off. But this group in the middle here potentially needed to be a little bit better here and there today. We were in that first early period of the game, were very unsettled, it felt like, and not very accurate with what we wanted to do. We had 3 that went out of play. Again, clearing the lines, and then 1 through ball into the box that didn't quite work out there. And we had 5 key passes into the box. And those key passes should have led to really good created chances. And if you look at the next tab, the chance created says 0. So they weren't quite good enough, really. Those moments where we really need the quality weren't quite there today, but, you know, there we go. So what else can we look at? What else can we learn about the way that we played? Let's have a look here. Let's go and have a look in the movement and look in the dribbling stuff as to where that's happening, because it's not something that we look at a lot, and you'd imagine the wide areas to producing most of it. Ed McJanet, though, had 1 into the box. It's not something that we focus our game on particularly, but occasionally it's good to see that the wide men are still able to take on a fullback and get past them. Salam down the left-hand side and 1 from D'Souza down the left-hand side. A good sweeping run from D'Souza. And then we had 4 offside moments. And this is where the ball is coming from and getting to. And so the likes of McJanet, and 1 in the box from Whitmore and 1 right down on the right-hand side from Knowles, just meant that we were moving a little bit too fast, too quickly, should I say, for the ball that was coming in. So that's not too bad. Only a couple of offsides in the 90 minutes isn't particularly bad. But let's have a look at the movement map from the game. I like these are funny. We can't speed it up anymore, but this is the movement of all of the 11 players through the game, and you can see that they're covering pretty much every blade of grass. By the time we're done, this area will be filled up a little bit too, and you can see that they're really putting in a shift and working really nicely as a whole unit, moving around the pitch collectively. Not too many wide gaps. Occasionally the strikers are out on a bit of a limb as we're defending situations, I would imagine, but in a minute they'll get going again, and you'll see that they attack collectively and really well at times. That's quite an interesting thing just to pay attention to occasionally. If you don't, for your side, where are the gaps showing up in your collective movement of the team? I quite like this particular tab. It's quite an interesting one and gives you a really, really interesting view of the game. Anyway, we're not going to watch too much of it. I just thought it's interesting to see that we cover pretty much every blade of grass, and there is opportunity to see maybe occasionally the strikers are a little bit isolated. Maybe occasionally we have a gap in central midfield because there's only 2 rather than 3. Anyway, just something to think about as we continue to try and knock off rough edges in this side. That's going to do it for now for the analysis, though. So let's go and figure out what's coming next. Before we figure out what the next episode is going to hold for us, it's only right that we talk about the injury that we picked up from Bucock. And fortunately, it's not a bad one at all. 1 or 2 days out, it's not going to be a problem. But for a moment, I thought we were going to have a serious issue with him coming off so early with what looked to be a bad injury. So that's okay. That means that we've got a settled side moving into the next few games. And we've got a lot coming up through December. We've got both the FA Cup and the FA Trophy in December. And there'll be another round or so of the FA Trophy in here, I suspect, if we go through. So could get quite crowded if we can go through those games. And we've got 6 Vanarama National Leagues matches booked in for December, but some of them might get pushed back if we go through in the trophy as well. Whatever comes, we're going to be coming back for the last game of December in the league, just to keep our focus on that. We've already focused a bit through this series on the FA Trophy, a little bit here and there. I'm not sure we're quite ready for a really good deep cup run. That will come later in the series in the FA Cup. So for now, we're going to focus on trying to win this Vanarama National League. And so whichever the last game of December will be, depending on the rescheduling through cup matches, it might be Halifax as it currently stands, but it might be another team. But that's the team we're going to come back for. In terms of the league table after today, obviously we still sit top. Torquay are a key team behind us. They've only played 8 games and they're 5 points behind us. If they win both their games in hand, that puts them a point above us. So got to worry a little bit about Torquay. But other than that, everybody else is trailing in our wake, which is fantastic. So yeah, keep an eye on Torquay. When do we play them next? Not until January. So we've got a bit of a wait for that match, but that's going to be quite a crunch game potentially. Between now and then, lots going on though. So join me next episode for potentially Halifax at this point, but it might get rescheduled and rearranged. But until then, thank you for joining me today. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and join my United City community. The more the merrier. There's loads of ways to do that through Discord. I'm a little bit quiet on Twitter just at the moment, but that will change fairly soon, I would imagine. And there's also my Patreon and a merchandise store set up as well. All the links to those are in the description below, so go and check them out for me. But click the like button on this particular episode if you could. That helps me get seen by lots of other people, helps me continue to grow the channel, helps me to know that you're invested in the content, and I really appreciate those. So if you could do that for me, that would be great. But until next time, take care of yourselves. I'll see you very soon. Bye for now.